Hello, and welcome back to the Write Your Path podcast. My name is Lolly Spindler. I'm a writer, editor, book doula, and writing coach, and will now also be identifying as a liberation coach. And that's exactly what I'm going to get into on this episode. So, last week I had a call with a woman named Eilish. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that correctly. She is Irish. And this person was recommended to me by Chelsea, who has been on the podcast, Chelsea Kane. I will link to the episode with her. She was one of my early guests. And she had had a couple calls with this woman. And from that call, the most recent one she had, she realized where in the world she was meant to go now. So she had kind of had this inkling that her time in Mexico City was done and it was time for her to go elsewhere, but she didn't know where. And this woman basically, after creating a protected space between you and her in kind of a meditative state, calls in your ancestors, calls in your archangels, and calls in any other spirit guides or high beings that have something they want to give you. So during her call, basically Chelsea's guides were showing her this place that she's meant to be. And when she asked them where it was, they wouldn't answer. But this woman could actually see where she was in the space, and so walked around the square and found out it was Cadiz in Spain. And so I've talked about synchronicities on this podcast before. I'll also link to that episode. But it was really beautiful because after she was like, all right, well, I already have committed to these 2 months where I'll be guiding yoga in Mexico. But after that, I'm open to go where the universe needs to send me. And so this was divine timing that she got this insight. And then afterwards, she realized like a friend of hers was going to be hosting a yoga retreat like right outside of Cadiz. Also, another certification she was thinking about doing, she also realized was maybe an hour away from Cadiz. So like all of these things started kind of aligning, showing her that yes, this is indeed where you need to go. So after she told me about that, I was like, hell yeah, like I want to talk to this woman. Because I've done like tarot readings before. I've done birth chart readings, numerology. I'm a trisexual. I'll try anything once. And I also believe that more information is better because, like, especially if you are addicted to self-development and introspection and growth and learning about yourself, like I am open to all the tools being part of my toolbox. So I was like, hell yeah, send me that info. I would love to learn more about her. And so during my call with her, I'll just give you a little summary of my call and the biggest takeaways I had. She started by doing a protection incantation, we'll say. And then she started calling in my ancestors first. And it's really interesting because for me personally, I had not told her this before the call, but I have always felt my female ancestors very close to me. Like they've always just been, since I started doing this work, I should say, since I started opening up my channel to the divine, to the source, and been open and accepting of guidance, I have felt my female ancestors very close to me. And so I just knew they were there. Like it's never been a question for me. They're just there. They've given me many messages and guidance over the years as I have been on this spiritual journey. But it was interesting because I never really felt a male presence. It was always my female ancestors. So when Eilish started calling in my ancestors, she's like, whoa, I have never seen this before, and I have full body chills. And she said what was happening was like the women were there, as I knew, But she's like, all of a sudden, all of the men came rushing in. And she said that they put their right hand on my right shoulder, like lining up behind me. So everybody had their right hand on the person's shoulder in front of them, up to me, right? And she said they all had tears running down the right side of their face. And it was crazy because we both had our eyes closed, even though we were on a video call. And I was crying outside of the right side of my face. Um, and she basically told me they are here to apologize because your soul is older. It's an ancient soul, and you tried to guide them. You tried to help them, and they didn't take that guidance, and they mistreated the women in your lineage. And so, if you have ever felt this deep sadness that you didn't know where it came from, this is where it's coming from. And so, they want you to know that it's not yours. And let me tell you, this provided so much clarity in so many ways for me because, as y'all know, if you've ever listened to any episodes of this podcast, I have been a feminist since I was a young kid. If you listen to the first episode of this podcast, which I will also link to in the show notes, like I was 5 years old, the only female in my taekwondo studio beating up on little boys, never thought I was any less than them, was like, if you can do it, I can do it better. Anything you can do, I can do better. That was my song for the little boys. Right. And then, like, in elementary school, when they told me I couldn't have a role in the performing arts talent show thing, I was like, yes, I can. I can have that role. Just because I am a girl and not a boy doesn't mean I can't do that thing. So I have always been a baby feminist. I don't want to say like anger towards men, but there was definitely this thing where it's like, why do you think you're better than me? I'm going to prove you wrong. And just this like, what the fuck with men, right? I've always kind of had that. And so when she told me this, it provided so much clarity. Like, I have been carrying this for lifetimes. It's not new to this iteration, right? It's not new to this lifetime. I have been disappointed by men, have tried to help them, especially in my lineage, and they have disappointed me. And so it makes sense that I feel like this rub, right? This like anger, this like what the fuck with you, right? And I was like, "Oh my God, this is making so much sense." Another thing that it provided clarity on is exactly what she said, this deep sadness, because ever since I was little, I remember having this carga, this weight of sadness. And I would go into, like, when something would not go my way or I would be upset, like it wasn't just about that thing, right? It would get to a place where I would go to these depths of sadness, even as a child. And I was like, why? Like, why do I feel so much? Why do I feel so deeply? I am a 4-year-old, right? And I never knew where that came from. And now I do. And so it was really beautiful because she said, I want you to imagine a backpack. It's like this spiritual, metaphorical, emotional backpack, right? And it's really heavy from this sadness that these men have been carrying because they've not done right by your female ancestors. And she's like, I want you to imagine this backpack and you're carrying it. And she's like, since they are all on the right side of your body, right? And they're touching your right shoulder, I want you to feel that heaviness in that strap. And I want you to start taking off the right strap. And now after that one's off, I want you to slowly start taking off the left strap. And she's like, once it fell to the ground, all of my female ancestors started rushing in. And wow, how fucking beautiful is that? And then she said all of my female ancestors were just giving me white flowers as like a thank you. Um, I will tell you for what in a second, but she said you need to go buy white flowers for yourself this week and put them around your house because they want to be near you. And so right now my house is filled with these beautiful white flowers. And it's just a beautiful reminder that they have been close to me, right? I have felt them. But getting that confirmed by someone else is really beautiful, especially someone with this powerful connection to the spiritual realm. So it's just really lovely. I'm actually looking at two of these flowers right now. They're on my desk as I record this. And it's just nice to know like they are with me at all times. And how beautiful is that I have been able to foster this connection with them. I'm getting a little teary-eyed as I say this. But the reason they were thanking me and laying these white flowers at my feet is because I'll link to an Instagram post I made about this at the beginning of this year. But last year, actually, I recorded an episode on this too, so I'll also link to that. But last year, I was very focused on my throat chakra. I was being called to use my voice in new ways. When I was in India, somebody came up to our group at the Mahakumbh Mela and asked to interview us. Our two group leaders were interviewed and they asked for someone of a different nationality. Since I was one of the only non-Mexicans in the group, I was volunteered. And I also was like, after multiple people said Lolly, I was like, I am being called to speak. Okay, give me the microphone, right? Then again, I was asked to officiate my dear friend's wedding ceremony in Spanish and English. So that was being called to use my voice in a new way. Also in a vulnerable way for me, right? Like public speaking in your second language is like a whole nother level. I highly recommend that for anyone who wants to do voice work. Number one, learn a second language. Number two, public speak in that second language. And also like I gave a lot of in-person workshops about writing to heal, about writing your book. I also was part of a spoken word poetry event at the Centro Cultural de España here in Mexico City, where I read my poetry out loud. And if you've never written something that vulnerable out loud, damn, that's another way to work on that throat chakra. And then also, this was very healing for me, was I started singing again. When we got back from India, a lot of people in our group had bought harmoniums. And so my voice coach, Caro, who's also my dear friend, who was also my first guest on this podcast. I'll link to that episode too, babies. All the links in this podcast episode. She was like, you know what? Since so many people bought harmoniums when we get back from India, I would love to give y'all a class. So you guys can learn about how to play your harmoniums and sing some mantras. And I had purchased my harmonium 2 years prior. I did my yoga teacher training in 2023, and we had a section on Bhakti Yoga, the yoga of devotion. And Jagadambika had done a lesson on mantras, and she sang with a harmonium. And I had encountered, I had gone to kirtans and stuff, and it had always opened up something inside of me. And then after that session during my yoga teacher training, I was like, you know what? This keeps showing up. I keep connecting so deeply with it. I need to get a fucking harmonium. I put that out into the universe. And within a few months, in one of the group chats I'm in, somebody was like, I'm moving back to Berlin. I'm getting rid of my stuff. I was just called to go through her listing. Like, this is so, I never do this. And I went through and there was a fucking beautiful ass harmonium. And I immediately was like, that's it. I wrote to her. I gave her like $50 over what she was asking for, or like whoever had offered. And I was like, no, this is mine. Give it to me right now. So I had this harmonium sitting in my house for over a year at this point. And so finally, like, Cara was like, I'm giving a free harmonium class for all the harmoniums purchased in India. I raised my hand. I was like, fuck yeah, I will host it at my house. And from there, we started a group class together. So 4 or 5 of us from this India trip met from March to December of last year and sang once a week together. And so that was incredibly healing for my voice. And so in all these different ways, like randomly having microphones shoved in my face, like being called to speak in my second language publicly, starting to sing again, right? And then I started singing publicly, which is like a whole other thing, right? Like dancing and singing are the most vulnerable things we can do. And not only was I practicing with my little group and in my home, I then started singing publicly for others. At my friend Chelsea's retreat in October last year, I led the bhakti, I led the singing. And then for my birthday last year, I also had people over for a bhakti session. That's how I wanted to celebrate. So I had done all of this work on my throat chakra and using my voice. And then to culminate all of that, I started this podcast in December of last year as like the cherry on top of like, we're doing this voice work. We're doing it. And so I had reflected back on that year at the beginning of this year, being like, wow, I've done all this work on my throat chakra. And it's been so beautiful. And what a beautiful way to connect with other people and help them heal their throat chakras. And during this reading with Eilish, she said, they're thanking you because you have healed the voices of 25 generations of your female ancestors. Wow. I have always intuited that this lifetime, I'm sorry, I'm crying a little bit. This lifetime is not just for me. I have always felt this profound responsibility, but not in a way that is a burden. It's a beautiful responsibility that I carry to live my life to the fucking fullest, because I'm not just living it for me. I am living it for all of the women in my lineage who came before me who were not able to live the lives that they wanted to live due to matters of circumstance, when they were born, the societal expectations for women at the time they lived, getting pregnant when they didn't want to. So many women in my lineage wanted to live these big, beautiful lives, and they couldn't. And I could feel that in my soul since I was little. I could feel it. And I said, nah, this one you get to live. You get to do whatever the fuck you want. And so that's why I think I've always felt my female ancestors so close. It's because this lifetime is not just for me, it's for them, and they are living it alongside of me. And it is the most beautiful feeling. I am never alone. I see these things about the loneliness epidemic, and I am so saddened by that because although, of course we all feel alone sometimes, but even in the depths of my sadness and depression and loneliness, I still have never been completely alone because I know that they're with me. And how beautiful it is to get to do these amazing, wonderful things, knowing that they are getting to live that alongside of me. What a fucking blessing. That is a responsibility I will take on any day. So when I look back on my life, when I look back at not letting the little boys tell me I was less than, when I look at me playing multiple sports and being an athlete and using my body in these wonderful, cool, different ways, when I look at my choice to not have children, to get to have reproductive freedom, a right they're trying to take away from women in the US, but that's a whole different episode. When I look at my ability to have a credit card, to open a bank account in my own name, a right my mother didn't even have until the 70s. When I look at all of these beautiful blessings I was born into because of the time I was born into. Even yesterday, I was talking to someone. Thank God I was born when I was because of the internet. I'm able to live wherever I want, and work whenever I want because of this tool that happened to be developed in my lifetime. All of these things were aligned so that I could live for them too, and they could do all of the things they had always wanted to. I think of my grandma Alice, my my dad's mother, and she was an athlete. She was very tall. And she played basketball in her local little basketball league. I actually have a photo of her on my digital frame that pops up from time to time in that league. And so it's like I see all of these things like and I feel them, right? Like I don't know my whole lineage. Um but I can feel them and they're like, I always wanted to do this and I'm like, fuck yeah, let's go do that. I think this is another reason why fear has always been an incredible motivating factor for me because it shows me where I need to go in order to grow. And so if I feel that, I'm like, I have to do that because I know it's going to push me out of my comfort zone. And so I feel like that's one way that my lineage speaks through me is through like, I was fearful to do this. And that's why you're feeling this fear, which means we need to do this because I didn't get to do that. So that's really how like my lens of fear and getting out of my comfort zone and growth, it's like I have to do it, right? Like somebody needs to live this experience and they need to live it through me. And I'm more than happy to do these beautiful things for my lineage. So this is what was on my heart today. And I really wanted to share it. Because like how beautiful that I get to live this life in such a way that I'm fulfilling not just my dreams, but the dreams of so many. Wow, what a fucking blessing. Another thing that Isla shared after sharing this about she calls me throat girl now, which is funny on so many different levels. But anyways, after she shared this about me healing the 25 generations of voices in my female lineage, she was like, you are here to liberate. She's like, through your voice, because it's not just your message that you have. Your message, especially with my human design profile, I'm a heretic investigator, which means I'm not afraid to talk about the things other people don't want to talk about. Like nothing's off limits with me, as y'all know if you've listened to any of my episodes. I am willing to talk about the topics that are taboo, right? I'm willing to talk about things that make people uncomfortable. Let's go for it. And I'm an investigator, which means I will dig into subjects to learn every nuance about them before I speak on them. So she's like, it's not just your message, it's the frequency of your voice connects to people's hearts. And I was like, wow, that is such a blessing and a privilege and also another responsibility, because if I am going to use my voice in this way, I have to know the responsibility that carries. Because if I'm directly connecting to the hearts of others, I have to be very intentional with that message. And so she said, literally, before I even got on this call with you, when I was connecting just with what I knew about you, the first thing, and she showed me her phone where she had written this note. It said, Lolly, voice, singing, speaking, interviewing. And she said, do you have a podcast? I was like, yes, honey. I started that last year because I was working on the throat chakra. So anyways, synchronicities, alignment. Again, the universe keeps sending me these messages to keep going. Even if no one's listening right now, people will. So she's like, You're here to liberate. And when she said that, something clicked for me because I've been doing this work with Write Your Path coaching for over 2 years now. And so far, my through thread has been writing because that is my main form of self expression. Obviously, that has expanded and will continue to expand, like singing, whole new way of self expression that was birthed in me last year. And so when she said that, I was like, that's it. I'm not just a writing coach. That's one of the tools in my toolbox. I'm a liberation coach. Everything I have created within the umbrella of Write Your Path coaching has been connected to liberation. The 6 Fig Freelance Writer, liberate your time, have time freedom, location freedom to live the life you've always dreamed of. The right to heal, liberate your creative expression, your voice, so that you can start playing with writing, with creativity, but also liberate your mind through the mindfulness practices we go through with meditation, with gratitude. And then my latest, focusing more on book coaching and me being a book doula with First Page this week with Manuscript Momentum Lab. That's also like free your story, free your voice, tell your story. Like it is worthy of being told. Free yourself of limiting beliefs, of self-doubt. And I realized liberation was the through line through all of the work that I'm doing, which is why I'm now identifying as a liberation coach, because that is what I'm here to do. I'm here to liberate. I'm here to liberate, especially liberate women, because she said, you are 100 years ahead of the liberation women in society currently have. They are still being socialized to be small, and you are 100 lifetimes ahead. Like, we will catch up to you. Women of society will catch up to you in 100 years. And I was like, what the fuck? And I was like, well, then fuck yeah, let's expedite that. And so what the hell is a liberation coach? What does that even mean? What I see it is, how I see it is we start by looking at where we're still being small in our lives. Where are we still not taking up space, and how do we start to take up space? I want women to take up more fucking space. We're done with being small. We're done with sitting on the sidelines from not taking up space, and not just metaphorically, physically. Fuck diet culture. Fuck crossing our legs in the fucking subway so that the man with the chicken legs next to us can manspread. Fuck that. Nah. I adopted a new practice last year, whereas I don't move for men on the sidewalk anymore. If a man is walking towards me, I'm always on the right side. I am on my side of the sidewalk. Okay. We're not in the UK. So I'm on the right side. Literally, physically. And if a man is walking towards me, I don't move. No, he can move around me. I'll shoulder check him. I don't care. I don't move for men anymore. I stopped doing that. So I'm not just talking about taking up space like energetically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, also fucking physically. Take up fucking space, because it's just as much your right as anyone else's. And as women, we have been socialized to be small, diminutive, right, to cater to. And fuck that. No. We've done that for enough lifetimes now. We've done that for enough cycles. And our ancestors, our female lineage is asking us, it ends with us. We're taking up the fucking space. We're finding where we're still being small in our personal and our professional lives. And we're going to be big. We're going to take up that fucking space. So that is what a liberation coach means to me. That's how I will be operating now. Thank God the 3 programs I already have as part of regular path coaching fit into this world, into this new way of expression I will be exploring. And so that is what my one on one coaching will now also be focused on, because I've had people reach out and be like, you have so much confidence. I want a confidence coach. And I'm like, I don't know how to instill you with the confidence that I seem to have be innate to me. But through this lens, now I understand, because it's about liberating yourself from where you're staying small. That's how you get confidence. Before, if you just said confidence coach, I was like, I don't have a methodology. But through the lens of liberation, I now do, because now I understand how I have liberated myself from all of these different things that have given me this confidence that I thought was innate. It was by undoing these things one at a time. And that's really exciting to me. That really gives me energy. And that's how I know this is the right direction, because now it can be replicated. I don't believe we can coach on things or teach things we have not experienced ourselves. So now I understand this is how I was able to do it. Like with my body, for example, I remember a few years ago, I went on a girls' trip to Acapulco. And the women I was with were so, they just had this like constant preoccupation with food and weight and body image, especially since we're at the beach in bathing suits. And I was like, God, y'all are wasting so much mental, physical, emotional, spiritual energy on something that doesn't fucking matter. Y'all are healthy. Y'all have capable bodies, right? It wasn't like, obviously, if you have a disease or something, that's completely different. These are healthy women and they're beautiful. And I was like, why the fuck do y'all care about this so much? You're wasting energy that can be channeled into creativity, expression, love, community, activism, whatever the fuck. That energy could be channeled into something so much more productive, like not just productive for production's sake, but on like a soul level. It could be so productive. And I was just like, why don't I care? Right? I was like, these 3 women care so much. Like, is there something wrong with me that I don't care? Right? I was just like in this moment of like, what is happening? I feel like I'm in an alternate dimension. So when I mentioned this to them, one of them looked at me and said, well, how are you so secure? Because literally, if we're just objectively speaking, I was definitely the biggest woman out of these for the 4 of us. I'm curvy, but I like love my body. And I've talked about this in another episode. It's a privilege to have a body, so stop hating yours. It's because I have this lens of like, what a privilege to get to use this functional, beautiful body that can enjoy pleasure and functions correctly and can move in like all these cool ways. Why wouldn't I love my body? It's a temporary home. It's functioning. I love it. It's great. I don't give in to these societal standards of I have to be a size 0. What the fuck? Hell no. Why would I waste my energy on that? Nah, dog. If I love it and it's working and it makes me happy, that's all that matters. That's all that matters. It's not for anyone else. It's just for me. And she was like, how did you get to that place? And at the time, I hadn't really started this spiritual journey. So I did not have the vocabulary to explain what I just explained. But I gave her some practical tools. Like I stopped weighing myself, dear Lord, over a decade ago. Like why? Obviously, if I'm at the doctor's office and they need to weigh me for health reasons, okay. But like I don't have a scale at home. I completely, like I don't even look at the scale when I'm at the doctor's office, because the number does not matter. If I am healthy, that's all that matters. So why become obsessed with a number on a scale when that is only going to affect your psyche and feed this comparison that we have in society? Fuck that. No, I stopped weighing myself a long time ago. So that's like just a practical thing I told her. But it just, it started being like, oh, okay, so this is how I need to work from where I'm at and go back and be like, okay, this is how I instilled confidence in my body was through these practices, right? And so that's like another way, like, especially as women, we need to be liberated because society has taught us, like, be small, literally, physically be small. No, fuck that. Eat your cake, have the curves, be happy. Like, I love to work out. I work out every day. But that's not fueled by society telling me I have to be a size zero. Because guess what? I ain't a size zero, girl. I'm like a 10, 12. And I'm happy. I work out because I fucking love it. Because for my mental health, girl, I need it. You know? So it's like finding confidence in these ways I realize is hand in hand with my own liberation. And so if I can do it, you can do it too. And that's why I'm now stepping into this role as a liberation coach because on all of these ways, right? From the physical to the emotional, spiritual, mental, like it is time for our liberation. And I am here for that. I am down for the challenge. I want to help other women feel that sense of liberation and taking up space, of using their voice, of being fully expressed. Because fuck being small. No, fuck it. We're done with it. And I want more women to be on the other side where they're taking up all the fucking space that they want to. So this is the new direction my coaching will be going in. And I'm so excited to see all the different iterations that it takes. And I'm so blessed that you are here alongside me for the ride. So thank you again for being here. I am so excited to see where this leads and to have you with me. So thank you so much for listening, and please subscribe and share this with someone you think would get something out of this. So I'll see y'all on the next one. Ciao.